What did one man on the loo say to the other? This is going to be a pooky Christmas. Ha 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 ha. Now that we've set a humorous mood, let's dive into our first spectral delight, the Splogum Spoof cake. This delicious phantom-inspired confection with its uncanny resemblance and irresistible flavour is custom-made for either a haunted patisserie showcase or as the star attraction of a Halloween gathering where spectres and ghouls are the esteemed guests. A slice of this cake is guaranteed to awaken the hidden phantom in everyone, creating the ideal atmosphere for a night of terrifying amusement. The adventure to crafting this ghostly masterpiece begins with a modest step. Initially, you're required to preheat your cooking appliance to a precise 175 degrees Celsius, an ideal heat for baking this treat. This stage is crucial as the appropriate temperature guarantees the texture of the cake is spot on. Concurrently, you're tasked with readying 2 circular cake tins. Coat them lightly to prevent cake from adhering, giving it a neat spectral look upon completion. Subsequently, it's time to assemble your ingredients. In one mixing bowl, merge all the dry components. These may comprise flour, sugar, rising agent, and a smidgen of salt. It's crucial to sift them collectively, ensuring a lump-free mixture. This critical step leads to a smooth and even batter, resulting in an impeccable cake. In a separate mixing bowl, combine the moist ingredients. These could include milk, eggs, and oil. Blend them until you achieve a harmonious mixture. It's vital that these elements are thoroughly mixed, as they're the ones that will infuse moisture into the cake, making it mouth-watering. The challenging part involves merging your dry ingredients with the moist ones, while stirring continuously. The blending should be gradual and steady, ensuring a smooth integration between the 2 sets of elements. Adding boiling water can thin out the batter, but remember not to overdo it. The batter should be of a consistency that it pours effortlessly into the moulds without being overly liquid. Upon preparing your batter, distribute it into the moulds evenly. Position the moulds in your preheated oven and let the enchantment commence. The cakes will require approximately half an hour to 35 minutes to bake. As they do, your kitchen will start to fill with an enticing aroma, a sign that your spectral surprise is nearing readiness. While the cakes are cooling, it's time to whip up the frosting. This is where the enjoyment truly begins. The icing will not only add depth to your cake's taste, but will also aid in creating that eerie Halloween appearance. Cream softened butter until it's velvety, then incorporate powdered sugar. This mixture will result in a silky and airy frosting. To enhance the taste, add heavy cream and a dash of vanilla extract. The following stage is what gives this cake its truly haunting quality. Split the frosting into 2 parts. Dye one part a deep, enigmatic black and the other an earthy brown. Assemble your cake, beginning with a thin coat of black frosting, followed by a thicker layer. This method of layering will give your cake a distinctive, phantom-like look. The icing on the cake, quite literally, involves decorating it with miniature toy boots, adding a whimsical allure. Sprinkle with cocoa powder to imitate the look of ancient dust. To make your cake even more thrilling and amusing, adorn it with candy or other edible embellishments. These not only enhance the visual appeal of your cake, but also make it more delightful to consume. Concluding this, when you behold your masterpiece, you'll see a cake that's not just delectable, but also a piece of edible art that perfectly embodies the of Halloween. That, dear viewers, is the true magic of the Splogum Spoof cake. Although our journey concludes here, the thrill and joy of concocting this spectral treat will continue to resonate. For added effect, embellishing with candy eyes or other edible decorations will make your cake extra creepy. Before we dive into our next ghostly recipe, let's take a brief detour into a whimsical tale from last Halloween. This is the story of Miss Belle Pum, a charming lady known for her love of the supernatural and her peculiar group of friends. Miss Belle Pum's friends were indeed a unique bunch. There was Hauve, the candy floss mother, always sweet and inviting. Then there was Pole, the male polar bear, and Noodles, the female golden bear. Despite their imposing stature, Pole and Noodles were nothing but cuddly and comforting. Finally, there was Zoe, also made of candy floss, who was as delightful as she was fluffy. The family lived together in a quaint house where they welcomed Miss Belle Pum every Halloween. It was a tradition for them to gather and share spooky stories, a tradition that was as much a part of Halloween as trick-or-treating. One Halloween, as they were indulging in their annual ritual, they heard a peculiar sound from outside. As they peered through the window, they witnessed something truly bizarre. A young boy, perhaps overwhelmed by the spookiness of Halloween, had done a poo in their letterbox. The sight was a mix of horror and hilarity, perfectly embodying the spirit of Halloween. The friends couldn't help but burst into laughter. From then on, the incident became a part of their Halloween lore, recalled every year to incite chuckles and giggles. Now, with that amusing tale still fresh in our minds, let's move on to our next spectral delight, the ghost poo cookies. This recipe, much like our tale, is sure to bring an air of levity to your Halloween. Coming up, we rewind to the Halloween pandemonium of Miss Belle Pum and her friends. In that remarkable year, their irascible neighbour, Mr. Cockleboot, gulped down a complete bottle of the Pinzer Shanghai Strength vodka. 177 proof, vertical bar, 88.5% alcohol, resulting in some memorable tomfoolery. As Miss Belle Pum organised an old-school water bucket trick for the gathering, the plot took a theatrical twist. Her jest was to splash a bunch of kids, a harmless prank. But she erred by leaving the hose to fill the bucket. In his inebriated state, Mr. Cockleboot staggered by and, unable to handle his spirits, spewed his dinner into the bucket. Oblivious of the morbid twist of events, Miss Belle Pum, under the veil of night, executed her prank on the unsuspecting kids and parents below. The horrifying reality of her action dawned on her too late, and the crowd was soaked in vomit. Let your imagination take flight with that spectacle. The previous year, Miss Belle Pum was also in charge of the treats, and Queen Elizabeth was scheduled for a regal visit. Following the unfortunate vomit episode, she tried to lighten the mood by offering the traumatized partygoers some sweets. She inadvertently handed them a distinctive orange, another hilarious mishap. It led to non-stop, uncontrollable flatulence that, to worsen the situation, smelled like rodent droppings. The Queen was welcomed not with applause, but with a concert of flatulence. The garden resonated with the sounds of toot toot poof, woot. The Queen, adorned in a witch costume, was in for additional surprises. She was subjected to a mooning incident, which sadly left an unwanted mark on her immaculate white dress. The spectacle of a man barfing into a woman's mouth, and the subsequent domino effect involving a child, a dog, a cat, a mouse, and eventually the apple bobbing game, was highly distressing. To pile on the misery, a poor child ended up with some undesirable remnants in his teeth. This was a Halloween they would forever remember. To all our viewers, we hope you had a awful but happy Halloween. In summary, both these recipes involve mixing dry and wet ingredients separately, combining them and baking. This process is an integral part of most baking endeavours. When you mix dry ingredients separately, you are ensuring that the leavening agents are evenly distributed throughout the batter. It's an essential step that guarantees your baked goods will rise perfectly, creating a tender and light texture in the final product. Dry ingredients usually include flour, sugar, baking powder, and optional flavour enhancers like spices or cocoa powder. Meanwhile, the wet ingredients provide the moisture necessary for the batter. They often comprise eggs, oil, or butter, and liquid sweeteners like honey or molasses. Sometimes milk or water is added to adjust the batter. The wet ingredients also carry the flavours, acting as a solvent for the dry ingredients. It's important to carefully balance the wet and dry ingredients to create a batter of the right consistency. As for the process of combining, it's crucial to be gentle to prevent overmixing. Overmixing can result in a tough, dense texture in the finished product due to gluten development. The method used is typically folding, where the dry ingredients are gradually incorporated into the wet mixture. This process calls for patience and a soft touch. The final step is baking, an art and science in itself. The right temperature and baking time can make or break your recipe. While baking, a series of chemical reactions occur that transform the raw dough or batter into a delicious finished product. The heat causes the water in the batter to evaporate, creating steam that helps the baked goods rise and set. Meanwhile, the heat also caramelizes the sugar, creating a delightful sweet flavor. The Splogum Spoof cake gets its spooky appeal from black and brown frosting. The frosting is carefully designed with food coloring and imaginative techniques to create a vision of haunted decadence. The cake itself is a canvas for this artistic frosting, with each layer providing a stage for the eerie display. The black frosting hints at the mystery of a moonless All Hallows Eve, while the brown frosting adds a touch of earthiness, reminiscent of an ancient haunted forest. On the other hand, the ghost poo cookies rely on marshmallows and icing for their ghostly appearance. The marshmallows, when carefully placed and melted, mimic the ethereal shape of a ghost. Their soft, fluffy texture adds a delightful contrast to the crunchy cookies. The icing, meanwhile, is used to add facial features to the ghostly marshmallows, turning each cookie into a mini masterpiece of haunted confectionery. So, whether you're looking for a haunting centerpiece or a playful treat, these recipes are sure to make your Halloween a scream. These recipes offer a blend of flavor, texture, and aesthetics. They're not just food, they are an experience, a celebration of the spookiest time of the year. And while the recipes provide a guideline, the real magic lies in your hands. You have the freedom to experiment with flavors, shapes, and colors. You can create a masterpiece that reflects your style and personality. Remember, the key to these recipes is creativity and fun, so don't be afraid to put your own spooky spin on them. It's not just about following a recipe to the letter. It's about enjoying the process, getting your hands dirty, and pouring your heart into every step. It's turning ordinary ingredients into extraordinary creations, making memories along the way. It's all about celebrating Halloween in the most delicious way possible.